But I'm considering a point of order. And no, I don't need to hear from the member, because what he mustn't do is allege that the minister behaved inappropriately. Standing orders are very clear on that. The member can ask his question without making that allegation. And this is the last occasion on which I invite him to ask his question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Prime Minister discovers, when looking at the documents that I have been unable to table in the House, that it is in fact the case that Minister Carter asked the applicants not to proceed with the water conservation order, does he believe that it does meet the high standards he requires of his ministers?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, I'm not going to answer hypothetical questions on unproven situations. All I can tell the member is one thing I know about David Carter as he manages his superannuation funds better than the Green Party does.
Question of order. Supplementary question, Brendan Burns.
Thank you.
Order.
Thank you.
Order. I'm not sure what members had for lunch, but please, a little respect. I've called Brendan Burns on this occasion for a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the Prime Minister: does he agree with comments from Nick Smith reported today in the Timaru Herald that part of his consideration in sacking ECAN was he doesn't trust Canterbury voters to make what he considers the right decision in October's local body elections?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Again, we've got the exact same problem that we've had with Dr Russell Norman, because I don't believe that that's question, the facts of that are true.
Order. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I think we had an assurance from the member that he was quoting from a report and from a newspaper. Sir, you have already said we're not allowed to table things in order to authenticate.
I just remind members what the primary question is. Does the Environment Canterbury Temporary Commissioners and Improved Water Management Bill fulfil that's the Prime Minister's intention to remove particular regulatory roadblocks to water storage and irrigation in Canterbury? I'm not sure what that has to do with the supplementary question. It's a long bow to then go to specifically the issue of the claiming the sacking of the board, because I'd invite the member to relate his question more directly to that primary question.
Thank you. I'll completely rephrase the question on your advice then. Is the Prime Minister aware, in stating that he expects to see built next year water storage schemes identified in the Canterbury Water Management Strategy, that the strategy's first order priority is the environment, and that it wants a phase of restoring water quality before new projects are built?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that the aim of the moves yesterday was to make sure that we get an operative regional water plan in Canterbury. That's something that hasn't been the case for 20 years. Clearly it's going to be a matter for those commissioners to balance both the needs of the environment and the needs of the economy in the local region. And all I can say is that the moves from the government yesterday has the overwhelming support of all of Canterbury's district mayors. And I think that represents, as the Otago Daily Times said themselves, that they had had enough of a dysfunctional
Point of order,
weekend.
Brendan Burns.
Mr. Speaker, my question was specifically about whether the Prime Minister was aware of what was in the Canterbury Water Management Strategy. He hasn't addressed that question.
I think that's being pretty tough. I think the Prime Minister did give a reasonable answer to that question. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor.
I apologise to the member, and I think, sir, this might be something you'd want to take under consideration, but we have hit, I think, today twice a point where a ruling which you've been very strict on and one which I have supported has come up against the ability of opposition members to ask supplementary questions. Sir, twice members have given assurances in their supplementary questions that they're quoting from reports. Now, Mr Hyde, I think, went as far as say he didn't believe the member for Christchurch Central. Sir, the rules in the House have always been in the past that a member's word is taken. And can I ask you to think about that in the future and your interpretation about whether something is properly authenticated or not.
I will take the member's point of order seriously because it is an important issue that with supplementary questions it's always accepted there's no means of authenticating them, and that's why members do have to be a little careful though in asking supplementary questions to make sure they don't make unreasonable allegations. But I'll hear the Prime Minister on the issue. Indeed, the Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I actually do think it would be useful if the members who want to claim they have quotes could bring down the piece of paper from the newspaper article they're quoting from and read that directly out, because we have found in recent occasions that the Leader of the Opposition has been doing exactly that, not reading from a document, and actually the statements have not been correct. So reading them out would be quite useful.
No, I'm not going to get into a debate. I've allowed both sides... Order! I'm on my feet, I say to the Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition. I'm not going to get into a debate on this matter now. The reason why the issue arose today was there was the implication that a member took offence to that maybe another member might have acted improperly. And that's where we have to be very careful, because there are ways of asking the questions, and I think finally we got through a question where the member was able to ask the questions he wanted to ask in a way that did meet standing orders. But it's not often we come up in quite such a sharp way against the requirement of standing orders not to make allegations and questions that can cause offence, etc. But I think the points have been well made, but we won't be able to take it any further right now. I think it's time for question number 12. Oh no, beg your pardon, supplementary question. The Honourable point of order, the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, could I ask also for your consideration on a slightly separate point than Mr Mallard's, and it's simply this, that again there appears to possibly be a conflict with a convention that you've adopted, and that is where a member is allegedly quoting from an article, and there is a question, say, which Mr Hyde has raised today, where he doesn't believe that. Apart from Mr Mallard's point, you've also ruled, in your view, that you cannot table an article which is recent. Therefore, in doing so, that can, in this circumstance, perhaps prevent a member from proving that what he is quoting is correct. And I just invite you, as you're considering Mr Mallard's point, to maybe consider that.
I hear the Honourable Member. We won't be taking that matter any further today. The Honourable Ruth Dyson. Point of order, Brendan Burns. I've made it very clear I do not intend to, and if it's debating, relitigating this issue, I will not be happy.
I'm not seeking to do that, but I was seeking to table a couple of documents because the authentication that was sought from me I am able to provide on both of the questions I asked. And
Order, Willis. The members seeking leave to table documents, please do so.
Thank you. The first document I wish to seek is an extract from today's Timaru Herald. I'm happy to read it.
On this occasion, I'll allow the member to seek leave to table this because of the dispute that has occurred. Normally I wouldn't, because the Timaru Herald is a paper readily available. But on this
Further point of order, Mr Speaker, because I wasn't sure if the issue was around the first or the second question I asked. The second document I wish to table is a written question 291 from Dr Russel Norman to the Prime Minister in relation to water storage schemes.
Now, normally I wouldn't be seeking leave to table the answer to a written question either, but because of the dispute that's arisen, and only on this occasion, I'll seek leave for the tabling of both those documents. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Question number 12. Point of order, Dr Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I seek leave to table a copy of Resource Consent CRC 91.1 in the name of David Cunningham Carter to take water from the Hurunui River for his Cat Hill farm in the Hurunui district.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Question number 12, Darian. Oh, no, I beg your pardon. Supplementary question. The Honourable Ruth Dyson. I apologise.
It's accepted, Mr Speaker. My supplementary is to the Prime Minister. How can he say that Canterbury doesn't have a water management strategy when it's actually contained in the legislation that the House is currently debating under urgency, legislation that also sacks our elected councillors, appoints commissioners who are going to be paid $2,000 a day, and takes away Cantabrians' right to elect their regional councillors, leaving us with no voice, no vote and a big rates bill?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, because I'm right, and last time I looked, Trevor Mallard agreed with me.
Question number 12, Darian Fenton. Point of order, the Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker.
Order. A point of order has been called.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a letter to the previous government on the 30th of June in which the Chair of Environment Canterbury specifically notes his meeting with Ruth